Yeah, the Chinese are going to be building factories in the United States. It is time for the Chinese to outsource to the US, okay? Boarding Air Force One to leave Beijing, the entire U.S. delegation dumped every item given to them by their Chinese host. Gifts, badges, pins, commemorative items into a trash bin. Nothing of Chinese origin got on the plane. The delegation had already left personal devices at home and used clean burner phones throughout the trip. I can't believe I'm going to give excuses for the fucking Americans, but this is the intelligence apparatus doing its job. You can't risk stuff potentially being bugged, right? Israelis are famous for constantly giving gifts to American politicians, even American like intelligence agency officers, the ABC agency officers, the Alphabet agency officers that are bugged and shit. Are they paranoid? I mean, when in those positions, you should be like, yeah. I'm pretty sure everything gets thrown out in 100% of all visits. It'd be pretty crazy not to. Maybe except when they go to Israel because they love being spied on by Israel. Here, have this gold-plated pager, my friend. Even the White House is posting pro-China edits. Dude, fucking White House China maxing on steroids, bro. Also coping like little bitches. Lol, I've never seen the Empire kiss the ring like this. I mean, I think the intern editing this genuinely doesn't think this video is kissing the ring. The person editing this and scripting this thinks that this is gonna look at how much they respect us in the world. Look at the red carpet they put out for our great nation, which by the way is a very third world thing to do. It's a very third world thing to do. For the internationals in chat, like when our presidents go to like a big important country and they're welcomed by the leaders of the big important country, they always like blasted all over domestic media because they're like, look, Bosnia, Serbia, Ghana or whatever is now super fucking is now respected internationally. Look at how the Chinese treat us, look at how the Americans is blah blah blah, look at how the Russians. So it's very very like second rate, quote unquote. The Chinese respect us, they respect us a lot.
When she said that if the US crosses China's red lines on Taiwan, there could be a conflict between us. That's meant to intimidate.
That's meant to communicate. That's meant to communicate. How are you intimidating? By telling someone not to invade you. By telling someone not to encourage separatism. How's that a threat? Excuse me. This guy is so violent. He told me that he's gonna punch me if I punch him. Oh wow. How dare he tell me that he's gonna punch me if I punch him? I'm gonna punch him now because he threatened me with this.
That's 9,500 miles away. I think that's the last thing we did. We're doing very well.
Would the U.S. defend Taiwan if it came to it?
I don't want to say that. I'm not going to say that. There's only one person that knows that. You know who it is? Me. I'm the only person. That question was asked to me today by President Xi. I said, I don't talk about those things.
He asked you today.
He asked you if you would send troops, if you would defend. He asked me if I defend them. I said, I don't talk about that.
Very interesting. I think it was in Hassan's coverage. I agreed very much with him. This is the first time in Trump's entire career that he was actually a statesman. The formality, the way he addressed the Chinese, the unironic, relatively wise diplomatic approach. Pretty crazy to see it. I think it has a lot to do with just unchecked narcissism that's out of control, where he unironically only treats people as a human if he considers them on his level. And Xi and even the People's Republic of China, he kind of sees on his level, but they deserve a normal conversation. Same with Zoran, same with a bunch of people that he knows are his opposition, but they're an opposition that he actually considers an opposition, not just the majority of the Democratic Party, just fucking irrelevant, right? To him, completely irrelevant. He likes winners. He hates losers, is the better way of saying it. He fucking, he genuinely despises. He views himself as the ultimate meritocratic success. He believes meritocracy exists because he is proof of it. Tells himself, I'm just a middle-class kid that became president. If I can fucking do this, I have 1,000 failed businesses and 1,000 successful businesses. I fucking tried and I won. So others that try and do not win, okay, just didn't try hard enough.
About 6 weeks ago, President President Xi and President Trump talked on the phone, and President Trump said he was negotiating this issue of arms sales with China. Well, no American president.
To an extent, like even if we're doing realpolitik, I wouldn't agree. Chinese are looking at a president who only in his first year started like what, 5-6 wars? So he does not look whatsoever like a president that would just sit and take it. I'm not giving compliments to Trump, but everything that we've seen in the last 365 days is a guy who is very, very, very willing to use American military might to secure what he thinks, sometimes very wrongly, as being in the American national interest.
Mr. Ambassador, President Trump has mentioned his wheels up from Beijing on Air Force One. He actually just provided his first thoughts on Truth Social about the summit. I'll just read the first sentence. China has a ballroom.
There you go. China has a ballroom.
And so should the USA. So that shows you where he is.
China also has gun control and healthcare and controls over 50% of its economy and has capital serving it and not vice versa. But I saw the ballroom. Maybe I should adopt Xi Jinping thought. Okay. Socialism with Chinese characteristics. Maybe that's going to be what gives me my ballroom.
Well, it looks like there's going to be a resumption of agricultural purchases by the Chinese. That's very important for our farm and ranch economy. The Chinese have been diminishing it over the last couple of years because of all the, frankly, the friction we've had, both in...
Yeah, the Chinese are going to be building factories in the United States. It is time for the Chinese to outsource to the U.S., okay? Massive underpaid factories manufacturing labubus for the Chinese market is the future of the American labor aristocrat unless he switches side, pays taxes.
美国，这个全球最富裕的国家之一，仍面临着饥饿的困扰。在这个国家，尽管食品供应过剩，却仍有4900万美国人在挨饿。许多人无力负担健康的食物来提升生活品质。帮助美国，从现在开始。
And one last issue Scott Bessent talked about yesterday. He said there is going to be the start of talks between the two countries on artificial intelligence, particularly this issue of security from terrorist groups and criminal groups with the Mythos model of
America really screwed its allies, banning us from using Chinese products like solar panels, EVs, and 5G internet. In return, we get to suck and overpay for basic necessities. It used to be a pitch that, sure, you would have to sacrifice certain things in order to be America's ally, but because there was enough imperial booty, enough imperial BBLs to go around, the price was somewhat worth it, you know? You got to be the extended arm of American empire, of American corporate interests. So on. You used to get something, is what I'm saying. But now, as American umbrella over the world shrinks, the amount you can get as a ally is smaller, which eventually leads to a major contradiction in which you wonder, okay, why the hellion am I following through on American policy against American opponents? I'm not really getting almost anything out of it. And this is something that I've said 1,000 times. European socialists, specifically European socialists, should integrate into their rhetoric, okay? Their class-conscious project in its theses should also include a kind of European independence from both East and West, etc., etc. Because that argument will only grow as time passes, because people will start realizing that they're not really getting anything out of being America's favorite sons, because they're not even their favorite sons. You know what I mean? The more time passes, the less it's going to benefit Europe being America's lapdog. And when you point that out in a very strong, almost quasi-patriotic way, it can bring a lot of people into your party project, you know? Just think about it. Because the AfD is already doing it in Germany, for example, to an extent. If you don't co-opt anti-American sentiment, and if you don't co-opt a populist pitch for an independent Europe, the right-wingers are going to take it. And then they won't even follow through on it. So don't be fucking idiot, okay? It's a gift that the Americans keep giving you nowadays.
Says you
An
guys.
update on Tucker. Everything I fucking guess, the pivot towards relatively class-conscious agitation hidden underneath a very reactionary politics as Tucker's, let's say, main platform is exactly what we're slowly seeing develop in his rhetoric. And here, I believe he is standing up for the little guy against the cocky billionaires who want to build massive data centers in proximity to their town.
I would think, since you disagree with the Chinese way of life, which is pretty civilized in a lot of ways, but the one way in which it's barbaric is that it grants its citizens no real rights. And so I would think that you would be very worried about aping their system, which we are now doing. Like, they have total surveillance. It's a panopticon in China. We should create our own. Let's take 40,000 acres in Utah and make it possible for the government to know where you are at all times and what you're thinking, listening to you on your phone. Like, we have that. I would think you'd be upset about that.
So there you go. This is what I wanted to show you because it's fucking brilliant. It is fucking brilliant. Okay. So he will be able to convince so many people that he is against what reactionaries always call the elites, but not as a class category and not as a consequence of systemic inadequacies, but as people that want to introduce a lifestyle to you that you don't want. Okay. So the good elites are normal billionaires who work really hard and they made their money. Billionaires are good. What do you want? Filthy socialism? You filthy commie? Shut the fuck up. The only ones who are bad are ones that for some magical reason want to change society to look more like what they usually define sheepish and unfree and authoruru and so on and so on and so on. So Tucker will be able to co-opt a lot of negative sentiment, the way reactionaries very often have, towards billionaires, very real negative sentiments towards billionaires, away from a conversation of should billionaires exist, away from the conversation of why do billionaires exist, maybe it's a systemic problem, over to certain billionaires, I agree, are absolutely problematic and we need to take care of them because in this rhetoric right here, they are what? They are turning us into China, okay? There's good billionaires, which is 99.9999999% of them, and then there's bad ones who are usually Jews or foreign or not convenient for us right now. Perfect scapegoats right now. And that is one of the most important aspects of reactionary politics that you need to understand. Please try to understand. Please try to understand. Because good reactionaries do not shy away. They do not shy away from the conversation about wealth inequality. They talk about it like crazy, but then they pivot you towards solutions that will in no way endanger the system or the status quo, which in this case is there are some bad billionaires that get bad apples, but we shouldn't throw out all the apples because of a few bad apples. It applies individualist decision making to a whole class of people.
You have to choose the less of two evils in your scenario. And I'm telling you, what you should do is say, I want Kevin O'Leary to succeed. I want him to beat the Chinese in compute power, and then use the laws of the United States to make sure that you keep that compute power in check whichever way you want. But to not have it available, to put down my shovel, I don't think people want me to do that. Even the people in Box Elder, the majority of them want me to hold my shovel and start digging. And that's basically the debate we're having.
How do you know that the majority
because they voted for it unanimously before the Chinese guys.
There was a referendum?
Like all this crap that's being spewed out.
Wait, hold on. Yeah, and I may have fallen for some of it, so you correct me. There was a referendum among citizens, or did some county board vote?
We actually went through the whole process that you have to do by their laws and were granted.
This man has the worst outfit of all time. Look, watches, black ring, and then white gold ring, and then the edgy hat. And he couldn't even pull off the pins that hold his fucking tie down. It's too small at the head. I hate everything about this. It's making me very angry. It's arguably making me more angry than the conversation.
3-0. The commissioners of the county said, we want to be
three people voted. The people of the...
Why they don't just build it in a random spot somewhere? Because they're capitalists and they want to cut costs. They build it in a random place somewhere, then they have to build basically a corporate town right next to it. They have to pay a lot of money for labor because people would have to travel and live next to the data farm. It's going to be much more difficult to plug it into infrastructure because they would have to develop the infrastructure that goes to the data center, etc., etc. That's why, because capitalist greed. Literally why. Even though they're going to make fucking trillions from the project, they still want to cut through corners. Isn't it also near a body of water? Why don't they literally put it on the water? Why don't they literally do it like they do oil rigs? I'm serious. They don't, because you know how much people get paid to work on fucking oil rigs? It's gonna cost them a little bit more. It's not gonna bother anybody. You're gonna have direct access to the fucking water it needs to, process data. Roma area is getting a data center sooner. We're months into a drop. So you go fucking stupid. I'm not even talking about ethics here or like fucking workers' rights. I'm talking just fucking absurd greed, even for capitalism.